In the last section, we started writing out our query to skip and limit some number of records out of our user's collection. We've got the basis of our query all put together. All we have to do now is actually write an assertion around it. So this this query right here will return, in theory, just 2 of my users. So I'll add on a .then, and this will be called with the list of users that gets returned from the query. So inside of here, I think that we can probably go ahead and just make an assertion on the first and second element in this array. And we can just check to make sure that they have the correct names. So let's do that now. We will assert that users at 0 has a name equal to the second user in our collection, which in theory is going to be Joe. And then the third one in theory should be Maria. Now there's a very important reason that I say in theory here, okay? Here's why. When we look at the way in which we're saving all these records, we are kicking off 4 save operations in parallel. We have absolutely no guarantee that Alex will be the first one saved, and then Joe, and then Maria, and then Zach. We have no guarantee that that is going to be the case. In fact, if our Mongo database is like somewhat disconnected or there's some significant latency between our test suite and our actual Mongo database, it's entirely possible that there will be some amount of time or some lag between each of these operations succeeding. And so we could end up in a situation where first Zach is saved, and then Joe, and then Maria, and then Alex. But I am about to make an assertion inside my test that Joe will always be second and Maria will always be third. So let's write in this assertion and just see if it works. Okay, let's just see if it works for right now. So the first user that comes out of my kind of little window right here should be Joe. And then my next one is going to be Maria. And then we'll add on our done callback. And remember, I just deleted done up here inside my it block, so I'm going to add that back in. Okay, so we are finding all the users in our collection, skipping the first record, saying we only want 2 results back, and then asserting the name on each of those records. Maybe one other really good assertion to add in here would be to assert that we only got 2 records back. That would just make sure that, in fact, right now the test that we have is really only kind of asserting that skip worked properly. We should also make sure that we only got 2 results back. So maybe a good idea would be to add on another assert of users.length is equal to 2. So that's going to make sure that we only got 2 users. Okay, so let's save this, run our tests, and see how we're doing. Okay, so we're definitely passing here. Out of curiosity, what would happen if we change the order in which these are saved? So I'm going to take Joe, and I'm going to move Joe to be first. So let's save this. And okay, yep, we're definitely failing now. So our test is very much vulnerable to issues with sorting. Now, I'm not saying that this is like the biggest deal in the world for the purpose of our test suite. Our test suite is like sitting right next to our MongoDB database, and so I don't really expect this to be the biggest issue in the world. You know, maybe one test in every like 100 is going to fail. That is definitely not ideal. You know, I definitely don't want to have that happen. But is it really the biggest thing in the world? Well, I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say that we want to make sure that our tests are 100% of the time always going to have the same output. So I'm not really comfortable saying that our current test setup is a really good solution. I don't think that relying upon Alex first saving and then Joe and then Maria and then Zach is the safest thing in the world. So I think that we need to add in some type of protection or some guarantee here to make sure that our records are always ordered in the same fashion. To do so, we're going to use one last little query modifier. So in our queries it stands right now, we have 2 separate modifiers. We first skip a number of records and we limit a number of records. I want to add on one more modifier called sort. Sort does exactly what you might think it's going to do. It's going to sort our collection of users, and then we will skip some number of records, and then we will limit the results. So I think that we should add on a sort to sort by all the users' names. Then we can skip and limit the result set. And the result will be no matter what order in which we call save, or no matter what order in which these actually get saved to our database, I will always expect the test to work appropriately. Okay, so let's go on back down to our test statement here. It's definitely traditional, or it is convention, I should say, once we start stacking on a bunch of query modifiers to new line each of them like so. This just makes it a little bit more legible, so I can say, okay, we're gonna find all of our users, skip 1, limit 2, and then blah, 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 do something with the result. So to sort our collection before we do our skip and limit operations, I'm gonna add on another modifier called, you guessed it, just sort. Now to sort by a given criteria, we can pass in an object. The key of this object will be the property that is sorted for all of our users, and then the value will be the sort order. So if I pass in a key of name and a value of 1, that means sort all of my users by the name property and sort them in an ascending fashion. So A will be first, then B, then C, then D. I can also specify a -1 here, and that means sort in a descending fashion. So I would expect to see Zach first, and then Maria, and then Joe, and then Alex. With the way that we've written up our test suite, I definitely expect it to be ascending. So I'm going to go with name of 1. That means sort all my users by their name in an ascending fashion. Okay, so let's test this out. I'm going to save now. And okay, looks good. Still got 24 passing. Let's go up to the top of this file and change out the order of these save statements. So let's just take Joe. I'm going to cut Joe. I'm going to put him right before Alex, like so. So I'll save this, and hot dog. Our saves, or our sort, is definitely working the way we expect. Okay, so this has definitely been a good little experience on sort and skip. Let's continue on to the next section and see how we can start applying all these different Mongoose rules that we have learned.